he gets into the 95 of Folks. Here comes the caution.
Flag is dropped here at Daytona, and away we go for the first time. Nicholas Morcell, Sean.
Looks like most get through unscathed. Look at that, there's Reed Gibson. A big move at the inside line of Dom's, possibly a little bit of contact.
Now, as we've got three wide action going through turns 1 and 2.
And they're underway. Eric Hahn takes a nice jump. Wilson hasn't let him go very far.
Nice to go out here for Circuit Spa Francorchamps. Alex Johnson's off to a brilliant start there.
Just how oddly shaped this one is. We saw in the background Eric Hahn go for a bit of a swing, and he's gone and he's over.
Smooth stuff. Cody Graham's the one-on-one up into second place. Alex Johnson, 6/10 lead at the moment.
They're dicey up front. There's Andrew Kessel, just insane.
They are ready to go. The lights are out, and away we go for the very first time here at Oklahoma International Circuit. Finley Fitzsimmons. Good evening, race fans, and welcome back to the Team Goon Squad Cup Series. We are here at Darlington Raceway for the championship round. My name is Mason Heimball with Team Goon Squad, bringing you the action here tonight. 1080p, 60 frames a second, as drivers currently qualifying underway, getting those laps in, seeing where they are going to start themselves off here for the start of this exciting championship race that we have here today. Currently up at the top of the timing tower, Nicholas Caressel with a 29.59 as the time to beat. Nicholas Lovell just a tenth of a second behind that with that 29.62. Charles Jurek in that third place spot as more and more drivers start to make their way across the line and get their first and final qualifying laps in here today. Folks, it has been an exciting season with the Team Goon Squad Cup Series, and right now it is all building up to this moment where we have seen a lot of great battles happening not only on the track but also in the point standings. And while I don't have any official points for you guys here at the moment, I will have to work on that after the race is all said and done and announce an official champion post-race and unfortunately post-broadcast as well. But we will be crowning a champion after today's race, and someone will walk away as the first time champion for the Team Goon Squad Cup Series. Casey Carrington, the number 38 driver, coming in a 29.58 for his best time and also setting the fastest lap of the race. There it is, Jaden Hopp, a 29.51, the number 81 machine pushing his way up to the top of the leaderboard, and that will allow him a good spot up there at the very tippy top of provisional pole. With just about a minute left to go before qualifying is wrapped up, and we get ourselves ready to go for the action here at Darlington. Last week, we headed to Bristol Motor Speedway, where the action was rather intense. A lot of, it wasn't as much calamity as one might expect from a track like Bristol Motor Speedway, but it was definitely challenging, and it definitely made things very interesting. Nick Beaver, one of the final drivers out here on track, the number 10, not looking too comfortable here at the moment as he gets a little loose on the back straight and gets up into the wall for just a moment, able to recover it. Has yet to put in an official time here, and it looks like he might be starting from the tail end of the pack here, as he's not going to be able to put in a full time, at least here at the moment. And so there it is. We have drivers completing qualifying, the checkered flag being waved, and we can now go through our starting grid. Up in the front row, Jaden Hopp, Casey Carrington, with Nicholas Caressel and Nicholas Lovell taking up your second row. Charles Jurek, Howie Briss in your third row. Matthew Fitz and Michael Keithley taking up our fourth row here today. James Coulibaly, Sean Williams in our fifth row, followed by Nick Beaver and Scott Shire in our sixth row. Moving on down the grid here, Max Newworth, Michael Ashmore taking up the seventh row, and Thomas Sewell and Jeremy Barber rounding out the field here today. Great to see a few drivers who haven't been able to attend as many races as they probably would have liked, but are able to be here today for the final round of the first season here of the Cup Series. And the number 4 machine is serving an end of lap here, or an end of line. I can't remember what the acronym is anymore. It always seems to evade me. But either way, Scott Shire will be serving that penalty from last week after a incident involving him and another driver. Kind of a little bit of retaliation happening between the two. And unfortunately, that's going to result in Scott Shire having to start a little bit towards the back of the field. But here at Darlington, I think that it won't be too much of a worry here, as they're going to be able to stay right up there with one another if they can really kind of focus in on their line work here and commit. But here we go. The drivers are off for the first time as they get themselves ready for 120 laps here at Darlington Raceway. And kick things off here for the final race in the championship round of the 2023 Cup Series. And I want to give a big shout out, a big thank you to not only all of the drivers here tonight, but also to Red up in the race control booth, as well as to all of our fans, to everyone who's tuning in every single week to be a part of these broadcasts and show their support for their favorite drivers, so on and so forth. Big thank you to all of you. Without all of you guys here, none of this would be possible. So big shout out, big thank you to everyone who is a part of the series, supporting the series, whatever the case might be. We always genuinely appreciate it. So with that being said, Jaden Hopp, Casey Carrington, the front row, getting ready to kick things off here for the first time as the pace car makes its way down into pit road. Coming out of turn 4, we'll enter into the restart zone. There we see it. And the green flag will be dropped for the first time here at Darlington Raceway. Jaden Hopp off to a good start. Casey Carrington going to fall just a little bit back behind that. Nicholas Caressel going to try and find a line up at the very tippy top, and it seems like a lot of these drivers are going to be favoring that high line right off the gate. And a little squirrely for a couple drivers, managing to keep things calm and steady as we're watching along here. Nicholas Lovell trying to track down Nicholas Caressel, keeping the battle to within a few tenths of a second here, as it seems like if you'll give me one moment, folks, as it looks like we were having a bit of an issue with our audio, so you couldn't hear the race cars themselves, but that should be fixed now, and hopefully you all can hear that properly. Jaden Hopp still your race leader. Casey Carrington in that second place position. Nicholas Caressel, Nicholas Lovell here in that third and fourth place position. Howie Briss following just behind there in fifth, just to round out the top 5 here at the moment, as things are looking rather calm and steady for the time being. Charles Jurek looking to get right up to the tail here of Howie Briss, just a little bit further back behind them. Sean Williams, Matthew Fitz, and Michael Keithley also going to be in a bit of a battle here as well. And you got to give a shout out here to Michael Keithley, the number 53 machine, for that just beautiful Yu-Gi-Oh! Paint scheme. I love that. That just tickled a very special part of my childhood. That very good memories. Anyway, Nick Beaver, Matthew Fitz, they are 9th and 10th place, respectively. Fitz trying to hold off that very fast 10 Fastenal machine. Nick Beaver showing a lot of good runs here throughout this season and has had some great finishes throughout the season as well. I'm going to be looking to capitalize on that here today and continue that trend as he makes a move down to the inside of Matthew Fitz. Fitz gets into the wall, right into the tail end of Beaver. Beaver goes around up to the top wall through 3 and 4. That's going to bring out the first yellow flag of the race here today. And Nick Beaver getting it quickly swung back around. Hopefully not too much damage done to that number 10 machine. You can see the front end a little banged up there, but hopefully nothing too mechanically is wrong. as he's going to drive it back up to the rest of the field and get himself ready to restart this race once again. Jaden Hopp, Casey Carrington remaining out in the front of the field. Nicholas Caressel, Sean Williams, Matthew Fitz, Max Neuwirth, Shire, Ashmore, and Beaver all going to come down into pit road here. And fuel windows for today's race is looking to be about 30 to 35 laps. And tires as well, going to be a little bit of a tricky situation here. So, Lisa, that is a good... Or Lindsay, not Lisa. I don't know where Lisa came from. Give me 1 second here as I pull it up. Now, these are not going to be for the playoff points. These will mostly... This will just be the overall standings with all points added together from all the races. So, right now, Jaden Hopp still the leader in the overall point standings with 613 points. Nick Beaver in that second place spot with 590 points. Scott Shire in third place with 532 points. Now, I still have to go in and do drop weeks and all of those fancy things. And once that is completed, there will be a new, well, an official playoff champion announced once that has been completed. So lights are off on the pace car as we get ready to go back to the green flag action coming down the back straightaway as we get ready to go back through 3 and 4. Jaden Hopp, Casey Carrington, still your front runners. Howie Briss, Nicholas Lovell in that second row behind them. Michael Keithley, Charles Jurek up in the third row. Roughly about half of the field going down through pit road, seemingly grabbing tires, some maybe just fuel, and others maybe just banging out some other minor details. But here we go. The green flag drops once again. Casey Carrington not quite having a great start there. It looks like the rear end kind of wanted to wiggle away from him. Might have gotten on the gas a little too aggressively there. Might have started in the wrong gear. I'm not entirely certain. Well, if he started in the wrong gear, he would definitely not be pointed in the right direction right now. But single file down the back straightaway. All of these drivers mimicking what we've seen the past few laps here up until the yellow flag, just staying in that single file groove and riding that high line here at Darlington, where that is going to be the fastest line and probably have the least amount of wear on their tires here today. You can kind of see in this blimp overhead view just how they're attacking the turns here at Darlington, going a little bit wider, and then right as they reach kind of the top of it, they start to pull in just a little bit there, especially on 1 and 2. The layout here of this track, we can actually kind of take a look at that on the bottom right-hand side of your screen. So right here, 1 and 2, as they come through, they're going to come up way high, and right as they get up right to the top, the middle of turns 1 and 2, that's when they start to dive down a little bit to line up to the back straightaway. 3 and 4, more atypical for what you see in most oval tracks and how they kind of attack the turns here, but 1 and 2 definitely a little different from what you see in a lot of other tracks here, and that is what makes Darlington a little bit more unique in that regard, that it has a layout in that it is not the same 2 turns each time. You are definitely having to make sure that you are adjusting yourself each and every single time, and I gotta tell you, that's not always an easy thing to do. I've raced here at Darlington plenty of times before, and there have been more than one time where you just forget that 1 and 2 is different from 3 and 4 and vice versa. And it'll come in, it'll get you sometimes. It'll get you if you're not careful. But these drivers have been around a lot longer than I have on the iRacing service and have a lot more experience than I do behind the wheel. So they know what they're doing. Michael Keithley getting up into the wall just a little bit, a little further back, seemingly having some interesting developments here between Matthew Fitz, Nick Beaver, Max Neuer. The 66 machine down to the bottom of Beaver as we come out of 4 and across the checkered line. Neuwirth going to back off here for the time being as we head back through 1 and 2. Up ahead, we've got a battle developing for 7th place between James Coulibaly, Nicholas Caressel. Coulibaly able to get out ahead of this one as Caressel going to fall back a little bit. Might have looked like he got a little squirrely there for a moment, had to quickly recover it. And Sean Williams going to be right on his tail here as well. Big shout out to Sean Williams here in the Pepsi Star Wars paint scheme. I love it. Lap 17 of 120. Things have not really settled out. More or less, drivers just kind of getting into grooves, and we're seeing these small packs starting to develop here as we're seeing drivers start to fight for various positions. James Coulibaly goes down low as we see the 45, Nicholas Caressel, riding the wall there for a moment. That's going to slow him down coming out of 4. Coulibaly still staying right down to the bottom. We go through 1 and 2 here. Sean Williams just kind of a bystander in this situation, just looking to see what he can do there. Coulibaly having to fight that car to keep it under control. Out of 2, onto the back straightaway. Williams now going to be able to get into that draft, looking down to the bottom of James Coulibaly, in through 3 and 4, side by side, nearly door to door. Williams going to keep up the momentum out of 4, still door to door, wheel to wheel. Williams able to get a little bit of an edge, and there it is. Coulibaly backs off. Sean Williams goes a little too high up to the top lane. Coulibaly keeping that momentum up, and it's a dive bomb. Sean Williams with a slight tap to the left, to the right rear of James Coulibaly, sends him spinning around. We got to take that back here. That was an intense battle between these two. And there it is. Here is the tap right there. Definitely not intentional on Sean Williams' part. You can kind of see here in the moments leading up to this where things start to get a little bit dicey here for Sean Williams. Starting to get a little squirrely up there, and then I would have to say probably overcorrected a little bit trying to avoid the wall, and it was just a little bit too much. Ended up right into the rear end of James Coulibaly. Luckily, Coulibaly getting a little bit of a push, but I think, unfortunately, he did blow the engine as a result of this incident here. So Coulibaly, I think, is going to be out of the race here. Sean Williams, that machine, the 89, has definitely seen some better days, and I think unless the crew is already have the body panels ready to go, and whatever other components are damaged, I mean, the radiator's definitely going to be cooked. I mean, coolant lines are probably going to be cooked as well. Who knows what else would be damaged in that sort of situation. I mean, a lot of front end damage, clearly. And we'll see, even if the structural integrity of the car is even okay to take another hit like that, I would not be surprised if after after an impact of that degree that the car's ability to be able to withstand an impact like that could seriously degrade. And Lindsay asking a really, really good question. Is iRacing Darlington as bumpy as real Darlington? So, Lindsay, I don't, and for anyone else that might not know this, but iRacing, the really cool thing about the iRacing service, and there are some other various companies that will do similar things, but iRacing does laser scanning of each track. So it is as close to the real thing as you can possibly get. It is almost one-to-one. There are probably small nuances here and there that are so minor that you wouldn't even think about it. In a lot of situations, there are some certain cases where there are some things missing, but needless to say, they are 100% as close as they can get it. So we can actually take a little bit of a look of a ride on board here with Jaden Hopp here for a little bit. And once we go to green flag, actually, you know what? Let's back this up here. Let's go to Michael Keithley, and we'll come back here to a little bit further back in the field, and you can actually kind of see the cars bouncing up and down here just a little bit. We're only going about 60 mile an hour right now. Yep, pace speed as typical. But so once we get up to speed here, you'll kind of start to see these cars start to kind of look like they're surfing a little bit. Wait for the green flag here as we come out of 4 into the restart zone. Here we go. Green flag drops and away we go, and won't see it too much right off the gate here, but once we get going, these drivers are all squirrely right off the line. But you can see it's not super noticeable, and obviously for racing you don't want the car bouncing around too much, but you can see how it kind of bobs around a little bit here and there. And if you have a force feedback wheel or direct drive wheel or anything of that nature, you can feel that. You can feel every single bump in the road, and it's a very cool thing that I think is often overlooked about iRacing in a lot of ways, in how accurate these tracks really are. And I've always said it, if you were to drive these cars enough on these tracks and go to the real life one and try and get behind the wheel of it, you would be able to do it, 100%. But look at this battle, this pack that we have developing down the back straightaway, consisting Charles Jurek, Nicholas Caressel, Michael Keithley, Matthew Fitz, and also Sean Williams looking to join in on the fun as well. Sean Williams able to get that damage beat out as best as he could. And that is a great job from the 89 pit crew, getting that machine back out onto the track before the green flag. Does not go a lap down and keeps on racing here. Charles Jurek now going to be under fire from Nicholas Caressel. Sean Williams looks down to the bottom of Matthew Fitz as we come out of 4 back onto the front straight and across the checkered line. Keithley, Williams, nearly side by side. Who will win, Star Wars or Yu-Gi-Oh? Probably Star Wars, but we won't get into that as Williams gets a little sideways heading out of 2 onto the back straightaway. Oh, banging doors out of 4. That's going to push Keithley up into the wall, a wall grab for the number 53 machine. Williams going to walk it away. And Matthew Fitz and Scott Shire just behind them, having to back off there, heading into 2. Wow. Michael Keithley having a big impact into the wall there. I'm sure that probably rattled him a little bit. Oh, and again, I think he's fighting this car a lot more than he probably wants to. Let's take a look on board. Let's see, just from the steering input here, what we can kind of deduce. Yeah, he's definitely trying to fix it now. I think he just had a couple oopsie daisies that really cost him some position. Oh man, he is fighting that. He must have scrubbed his wheels or something along those lines, because he is fighting it. We'll watch here again, heading through 1. 1 and 2 doesn't seem to be too bad for Keithley here. We'll watch one more time going through 3 and 4. A little close to the wall on the exit there of 2. Yeah, he is cranking on that wheel, trying to get this thing to rotate, and it is just refusing to do so. And I will have to admit as well, it's probably a little bit on my behalf, as we were not able to get well, usually we like to try and get a custom-made setup for these races for our drivers, so that way it's a little bit more drivable, and we don't have to use the standard default iRacing setups that come with the cars for these tracks. They're not often the best ones, and it looks like here for Darlington that is also the case, as it is not exactly looking like an easy car to manage at this point. Now, we have Casey Carrington, who has taken the lead for the time being. Jaden Hopp about almost 3 seconds behind our leader, as we've been kind of following along with the midfield. As Charles Jurek, oh man, Sean Williams having to check up and gets up into the wall once again, but stays with the number 76 machine, about a second separating these two drivers here on lap 32 of 120. Nicholas Trollman in the chat giving a huge shout out to Beaver, our local J2I driver, coming over from the J2I Cup Series to race with us here in the Cup Series. And it's great to have Beaver over here enjoying the action here in the Gen 4 Cup cars. And it seems he's been enjoying himself. It's a shame that we don't get to see too much of Lamp, another J2I driver, but it's still great to have him out here and competing. And Beaver as well, also still in that contention for a championship spot. Now, again, not 100% certain on that. We'll have to wait until after the race is done and get points finalized. But once that is concluded, we will do our best to inform our community of what those results are. Michael Ashmore reporting back that he's... Oh, mamma mia. Well, Michael Ashmore with a special pit road report coming in to the booth here that Ashmore down in the pits with well over 5 minutes worth of repairs. Now, for those of you who might not be aware, in the iRacing service, damage, when you take damage to your car and you have to come in and get repairs done, it's handled a little bit differently than how it would be traditionally in the real world. It's more or less a way for drivers to be able to determine whether or not they're going to be able to get back out onto the track. And a lot of it's, frankly, I'm not entirely certain what the times are based on, as we've got Nick Beaver, Nicholas Caressel side by side across the checkered line. And into 1 and 2, Caressel down to the bottom. Sean Williams just lingering just behind them, seeing if he can make something of this as these two duke it out. Beaver gets into the wall. That's going to be a little bit of a wall scrape and a position lost here for Beaver as Caressel makes his move around into the 4th place spot. Sean Williams taking advantage of it as well, but he's looking for another one. Williams was looking down low there for a second. of Caressel. Wasn't quite able to make it happen this time around. But we can also see as well that these cars are not the easiest to handle at this point. Now, do have to mention that our estimated fuel window is about 35-40 laps. So 30 to 40 laps, somewhere in that neighborhood. So it is not exactly out of the picture here, like we're seeing from Nick Beaver, that it is going to be about time to come down into pit road. And right on cue, there it is from Beaver, and we'll see other drivers start to slowly make their way down into the pits here as well. I would have no doubt of that. Sean Williams, Nicholas Caressel, Charles Jurek. 1, 2, and 3. Dissipating just a little bit for a moment, but Sean Williams in that 4th place position at the moment, trying to get himself some distance between Nicholas Caressel and Charles Jurek, who at the moment are the closest 2 drivers to him. So while things are relatively calm and steady here for the time being, let's go ahead and run through our field just as they are. Casey Carrington leading the field and having quite a dominating lead at this moment. Rather surprising to see here from Casey. Not exactly having a whole lot of... not exactly attending a whole lot of races here for the Cup Series. Before today's race, Casey only being here for 2 races of the season, but coming out here today at Darlington and coming off strong. But Casey Carrington was able to come away with 2 top 5 finishes in the 2 races that he was able to attend here. So it is not too surprising that Casey is up here leading the pack at the moment, but with a 10-second lead, I would say that is rather surprising. Howie Briss, Sean Williams side by side. Scott Shire also, or excuse me, that's Nicholas Caressel. Out of 2 onto the back straightaway. These drivers having come down into pit road during that second caution that we had there on lap 20. So I would have to imagine that these drivers came in for a little bit of an early pit stop. Drivers do have a total of 4 sets of tires for today's race. So it is very well plausible that some of them opted to take a new set, or at the very least a new set of outside, or oh, and it is a tap from the rear end to Howie Briss. Nicholas Caressel getting a little too close to for comfort to the rear end of Howie Briss once again in 3 and 4. Sean Williams goes way high, gets a little bit of a wall tap there, but managing to keep up the momentum out of 4 onto the front straightaway. Howie Briss trying to get away from this pack, goes high into 1 and 2. Caressel trying to stay on the tail. Looks to go a little high there, but it does not work for him. All drivers getting a little squirrely there for a moment. Sean Williams getting the worst end of it. He's going to drop back to the tail end of this pack. Howie Briss manages to still stay out ahead of these drivers. Caressel trying to find a line to the bottom of the 97 machine as we come out of 4. A little bit of help from Scott Shire, the number 4 Fox machine, as we head into 1 and 2. Caressel now in that 3rd place position as Jurek and Howie Briss. Here we see Nick Beaver, a lap driver, but a driver that is going to be on significantly newer tires than these drivers here currently. And you can see the pace difference already. For Nick Beaver, just slowly working his way through the field. And albeit he's already got about 10 laps underneath those tires at the moment, but still a massive pace difference between himself and the rest of the field, who has not come down into pit road since that second caution. Howie Briss makes his way down into pit road here on lap 49, so extending his run here a little bit. He came down the first caution, and I'm not sure if he took an outside set of tires when he came in for that to be able to stay out here this long, or what the strategy was here for Howie, but doing a phenomenal job of staying out here as long as he could, and going to be able to get another fresh set and hopefully accomplish the same result here. Roughly 70 laps left to go, and we are ticking them by rather quickly here. Now Jaden Hopp makes his way down into pit road. Jaden, your regular season champion, looking to potentially come away with a championship here as well, here in the playoffs. But again, that will remain to be seen until after the race has completed here tonight. And once I get all the drop weeks accounted for and so on and so forth, then we will have an official standings once things are all said and done here. Looks like Nicholas Caressel going to make that dive down into pit road. Casey Carrington also making that same dive just a few moments ago. So slowly but surely seeing the top, roughly, about top 5 starting to make their way down into the in and through pit road. Charles Jura going to make his way down into the pits now as well. And it took me a moment to realize what was on Charles Jura's car, but it's a Battlefront 2 paint scheme. You gotta love that. Sean Williams now going to cycle his way down through, and the last driver that now has to make his way into pit road is going to be the number 4 Fox Machine of Scott Shire. So we'll see if he's going to make that stop here as he comes down the back straightaway. I would have to imagine that he's going to. That car definitely can't be driving too well at this point in time, but he's going to take it another lap around. He's feeling confident and holding on to the lead for the time being. I think just wants to lead a couple laps here. And maybe even more so, just extend his stint here as much as he possibly can. Which is also not a bad strategy to make here. Jaden Hopp, fresh out of pit road, going to be making his way around the lap drivers here. Or not even lap drivers, but the slower drivers that are on the old sets of tires. He's going to push his way back up to the front of the field as quickly as he can. Once Scott Shire makes his way down into pit road, that's going to put Casey Carrington back into the lead. Nick Beaver in that second place position and Nicholas Lovell in third. Jaden Hopp would end up in that 4th place spot. Michael Keithley, Sean Williams the closest battle on the track at the moment. And what's curious here about this is, oh, Sean, or that's Michael actually getting wicked loose, but saves it down the back straightaway. That's the nice thing about having those nice wide open back straightaways. Something like that happens, you at least have a chance to recover. While it may be at the cost of rubber on the tires, I would say that's a heck of a lot better than ending up down in pit road and watching the race from there. But Jaden Hopp already looking to get himself back up to the front as quickly as possible, and reeling in Nicholas Lovell a little quicker than I honestly expected. I wasn't sure if he was going to be able to get up there as quickly as he has, but proving me very wrong here. Making the move around Nicholas Lovell to push himself back up into the top 3. Now has to reel in Nick Beaver to put himself back into that second place position, which he was hunting for just a little while ago before pit stops. And Sean Williams, after the incident that he suffered with, I'm trying to remember who it was. I believe it was Nicholas Caressel. After that incident with Nicholas Caressel, Sean Williams finding himself with quite a bit of front-end damage. Still out here, still clicking off laps, and in the top 10 at the very least. I'm sure it's probably not where Sean wanted to be at this point in the race, but I'm sure he's probably happy with where he's at the moment, considering the damage done to the front end of that 89 machine. While it doesn't look as bad as it was, there's definitely going to be some things that just aren't going to be possible to fix in that short period of time that drivers have down there in pit road. Howie Briss here starting to slowly track down Nicholas Lovell for that 4th place position. A little over a half a second separating these two drivers at the moment, so Nicholas Lovell just going to be looking to try and reel him in. Now, while we have a little bit of a moment and while things are spread out the way they are, as we see Nicholas Lovell, a big ride into the wall there, let's just take a moment here to ride on board with Howie Briss and just have a listen to the sights and sounds here at Darlington. Getting a good look on board there with Howie Briss, the 97 machine, as he tracks down Nicholas Caressel, and we have Max Neuwirth down to the bottom here looking to get around him. Lap traffic here just trying to get themselves unlapped. Nicholas Caressel trying to make his way around traffic here as well. Oh, Michael Keithley continuing to find himself just not having the best experience here, it looks like, today at Darlington. And again, I'm gonna have to chalk that one up as an issue I created here, given the setup that drivers were unfortunately forced to use here today. Not exactly an ideal situation that I want to put our drivers into, but it was the only decision that I had at the moment. So unfortunately, they're making the best of it, and they're staying out there and just focusing on clicking off laps, and I commend them for that. But it looks like Michael Keithley is gonna make a quick pit stop down here, and hopefully try and get some better rubber underneath that 53. And Michael Ashmore in the chat, I don't like this place. That's all I got for you. Oh, Mike. You know, Scott Shire, Nicholas Lovell, Charles Jurek, as I'm trying to catch up with the YouTube chat. Apologies, folks, that I haven't been paying attention to that as much as Jurek gets into the rear end of Lovell there for a moment down the back straightaway, able to get out ahead of him through 3 and 4. Lovell fighting it in through the wall, able to get it back down. As we see Nick Beaver just behind him trying to reel his way back in through the field as well. On the fresher set of tires now, and he's flying through the field, as we just saw Nick Beaver doing the same here on lap 75 of 120. And I think the strategy that Beaver is kind of playing out here might actually work for him if he can keep the pace up. So Casey Carrington, the 38 Great Clips machine, having a very impressive performance here today at Darlington, looking to continue this momentum here throughout this race, as he's built up nearly 10 seconds between himself and Jaden Hopp at the moment. So Nicholas Caressel also in that third place position, but he's going to be nearly 11.5 seconds behind our leader here at the moment. Nick Beaver, Max Neuwirth closing in on one another here down the back straightaway, as Beaver continues to work his way through traffic. Howie Brisk making his way down into pit road here for what well, read in the chat saying that Howie's tires were at 49% at one point. So 40 laps left to go here, and it is coming down to really just focusing in on clicking off laps. I mean, the field has now seen themselves with quite a significant gap between one another. You can see that on the bottom right-hand side of your screen. And we've got a report from the race control booth that the number 98 of Michael Ashmore has been given a black flag for surpassing the incident limit. It is a 16x here for these races, so a little bit of wiggle room for mistakes to be made, but definitely don't want to make it too much of an issue where it starts to become an issue for other drivers on the track. And ultimately, it is more or less just a way to keep the racing going and avoid any fiascos later down the road. Fiascos being any sort of incidents that might occur because of a driver just not exactly having the best race, having a not so favorable car, whatever the case might be. Definitely just want to keep the racing clean as possible. So lap 85, 86 now of 120 as Casey Carrington comes across the checkered line. As I mentioned, excuse me, a little bit ago, these drivers are just in the position to focus on just clicking off laps here. Now, I want to ride on board here with Casey and just kind of see what kind of the recipe is here. What is the recipe for success? So let's take a moment just to enjoy some action here. Well, actually, speaking of action, just a little further up ahead, Howie Brisk and Max Newworth closing in on one another for just a brief moment. And as I say that, we also start to see drivers making their way down into pit road for what I assume have to be the last time here tonight at Darlington Raceway. Jaden Hopp, and you can also see James Coulibaly making his way down through pit road. Casey Carrington also making that same decision here. And this is going to be where things get interesting, folks. So Scott Shire going to now be the race leader. And Scott, having found himself in this situation not too long ago either. Shire kind of being one of the outliers as far as pit strategy goes. Taking things a little bit longer than the rest of the field. And with 30 laps left to go, that might be a close call for Scott Shire, but it is definitely a very bold strategy. There goes Scott Shire, not quite staying out as long as he did before. But now we have Nick Beaver and Casey Carrington, a fight for the second place spot. But Nick Beaver is going to be at a tire disadvantage. As Casey Carrington, fresh out of pit road, he's going to fly on by and back into the lead here for the championship round at Darlington Raceway. Jaden Hopp into that third place position, has about 5 seconds now between himself and Nick Beaver before he can start to fight again for the lead. Scott Shire making his way out of pit road, and Casey Carrington comes across the line, sets the fastest lap of the race, a 29.65. Nicholas Caressel, Matthew Fitz, they're in a bit of a looser battle here for that 9th place position, and it looks like there for a second we could see Nick Beaver up into the wall. If not into the wall, but very close to it. But also, again, got to remember Beaver having come down into pit road on lap 70. So he's going to be in a very interesting position coming into the pits for the last time, because where he ends up, once things are all said and done, it's not exactly guaranteed. But Nick Beaver going to be under fire now from Jaden Hopp. The 81 machine has dwindled that time down to a mere 1/10 of a second in through 1 and 2. Jaden Hopp using those fresher tires to his advantage and moving himself up into that 2nd place position. Beaver continuing to fight that number 10 machine, but still holding on to a top 3 spot. But will he be able to hold on to it with 25 laps left to go? Matthew Fitz, Max Neuwirth back into a little bit of a battle here for the 10th place position with 26 laps left to go. 66 machine has been looking real good all race long. He's definitely found himself in some fairly good fights, but Unfortunately, it just looks like pit strategy is definitely a tough one to nail here at Darlington. And overall, it is just a tough track to drive in general. We have been seeing drivers struggle to hold on to these cars all race long. Once those tires start to degrade here, it just seems like it is a handful, to say the least. But here we see Howie Briss, Nick Beaver make their way down into pit road. But as Howie Briss comes out of pit road on the fresh set of tires, he's feeling that speed and now has to try and work his way back up the pack with 22 laps left to go. Nick Beaver also going to fall in that same category, and it looks like Beaver down in pit road a little longer than he might have wanted to be. Yeah, and like Lindsay just said, this is where things really start to get tense. Not only for the drivers, but for all of us watching at home. Because anything can happen in these final few moments, and with the tire strategies that have been put on in this race here today, it is all over the place. You can see Jaden Hobb just trying to navigate his way through the field. As Casey Carrington not in view at the moment, but a almost 8-second gap separating these two drivers with 19 laps left to go. And both drivers are going to be on basically identical tires as far as tire wear is concerned. So for Jaden Hopp, he realistically just needs to keep his head down and click off these last few laps. And I think a second place finish is going to be more than enough here for Jaden Hopp. And for Casey Carrington, I mean, just coming out here and dominating Darlington, I think he's going to be more than thrilled with his finish here today. Matthew Fitz, Max Neuwirth, they're still in a little bit of a battle here. Developing slowly between the two for that 9th place position, and 17 laps left to go. With drivers clicking off laps of about 29.5 seconds, it is not going to take long. But you can see here, Jaden Hobb, according to timing and scoring, he's got the pace difference to be able to track down Casey Carrington. But 16 laps left to go. Will it be enough to come away with a win and to potentially secure a championship here in the playoffs? With 14 laps left to go, Howie Briss also still trying to keep himself near the top 5, currently in that 6th place position, but Nicholas Caressel closing in on him here, looking to move up a spot himself as they navigate their way around Casey Carrington here. Lovell making his way past the race leader, trying to stay within a few tenths of a second of the 45 machine just up ahead of him as they come through 3 and 4. Lovell able to reel in Caressel. And on to the front straightaway. Will he be able to try and sneak it down to the bottom? Not quite this time. Still keeping the momentum up here through 1 and 2. Hopefully be able to make a move happen on the back straightaway. You can see him there kind of looking down low. Not going to make it happen this time, but going to stay right in the draft, in through 3 and 4. Looks down low here as Caressel goes too wide into the top wall, slowing him down just a little bit. Out of 4 onto the front straight. Caressel up to the top as Lovell goes down low through 1 and 2. Lovell a move up into the 7th place spot, nearly colliding with the wall, and 10 laps left to go. Checking back in with Jaden Hopp. He's worked that gap down to 4 seconds. But with 9 laps left to go here, folks, I don't know if it's going to be enough, and I can almost say that it won't be enough, unfortunately. But the fact that he's been able to reel in Casey Carrington at all here is just a testament to Jaden Hopp's abilities behind the wheel. That is not an easy gap to close, especially on a track like Darlington. Casey Carrington, who we're riding on the roof camera with right now, with 7 laps left to go, just taking a little bit of a different look here from Casey's perspective. Casey looking calm and smooth with 5 laps left to go. As Sean Williams and Howie Briss, they're going to look to have a little bit of a fight here for that 5th place position. I think Howie's definitely looking for a top 5. they come across the checkered line. It's Briss down to the bottom through 1 and 2. Williams not going to put up too much of a fight here. And that will be a 5th place position here for Howie Briss, the number 97. Having fought many battles here today, I think is going to be relatively satisfied with a top 5. Here it is, 2 laps left to go. Next time around, the white flag will fly here for Casey Carrington and the rest of the field. And right now, the only battle that's happening on track right now is between Sean Williams and Nicholas Lovell. The battle for that 6th place spot, and Sean Williams, I don't think is going to be too eager on letting that spot up. Already having let it go to Howie Briss, but here it is across the checkered line. Nicholas Lovell moves to the bottom through 1 and 2, and Sean Williams not having too much choices here as he is still fighting a wounded 89 machine. But the white flag is out. It is the last time around, and Casey Carrington, having already come across the checkered line, or, well, will come across the checkered line here. Excuse me, it looked like he already did, but there it is. The win for Casey Carrington. Jaden Hopp in that 2nd place position as he's going to end it off in fashion. Scott Shire coming away with a very, very impressive 3rd place finish for himself as well. Great work from the top 3 as well as the rest of the field. Definitely not an easy track to have for the grand finale of the Cup Series. But that is without saying that it wasn't by design, or whether it was by design, to have this as the championship track. Just given the nature of it and how difficult it can be, wanted something that was going to get it put on a show, and I would say that it definitely delivered in that sense. So, great job from the field. It was quiet there at the end and a little bit in the middle of the race as well, but with the field that we had today, they did a phenomenal job of putting on the race regardless. So let's go ahead and get into some post-race results and get ourselves ready for post-race interviews here as well. So the first person that we are going to get up here in the booth is going to be Mr. Scott Shire, the number 4 machine, having a very, very valiant race today, coming away with a top 3 finish and just putting on a great show for us all here today. Scott, welcome to the booth. Congratulations on a top 3 finish. I mean, you were looking fantastic out there today, and you really put on a great, great race. Now, Scott, I mean, you started towards the tail end of the field, and you managed to come away with a top 3 finish. What was kind of, what do you think kind of helped you come away with this spot here today?
Just mainly sitting in the back, waiting for all the chaos to unfold, and I was just saving my tires, and it worked out in the long run. So it was pretty fun. I love this track.
Absolutely, and it looks like it was a little tricky for some drivers. What do you think kind of some of the key issues that were facing a lot of drivers here today?
Probably getting in the turns way too fast, way too fast. You hit it off pretty early and just kind of let it coast, and it wasn't too bad. I mean, it was fun though. Like, I don't know, it was fun.
Well, Scott, I'm glad you enjoyed yourself. I'm glad that you were able to get out here tonight and finish off the season here at Darlington. But before we end things off here and before we get going and end things out here, what's kind of been your favorite things about the season, and what do you look forward to heading into the winter season?
I just enjoy racing with all my friends, and then, putting them, it was, how can I put it? I just like racing with all these people. I've been around them for years and years, and just feel comfortable, and yeah.
Well, Scott, it's a pleasure to have you out here, and it's great to have you up here in the booth. It feels like we don't ever get to have you up here too often, so it's always nice to get some fresh faces up here when we can. But Scott, last thing before you head out tonight and celebrate, anyone you want to give a shout out to or thank before you go?
I want to thank you guys for putting on a good show, and that's about it. I like what you guys do, and I'm looking forward to the winter season.
Absolutely. I know I certainly am. Well, Scott, thank you for joining us up here today. Congratulations on that podium. I'm sure that's probably a fantastic way to finish out the season. But I look forward to seeing you hopefully next season for the winter season. And until then, good luck to you, and we'll see you then.
Yep, you too. Thank you.
Absolutely. Alrighty, folks, that was Scott Shire coming away with that third place spot here tonight. Up next, we have Jaden Hopp coming away in second. A very, very, very formidable effort here from Jaden. I mean, you were fighting to stay up there in the lead, and Casey just seemed to have something dialed in here today that really seemed to work for him. Jaden, I mean, what kind of things do you think you could have done better, if there was anything, to kind of help you stay up there with Casey throughout this race?
Yeah, he was doing pretty good. I think I should have taken my tire, or I definitely should have taken my tires on that caution on lap 20, I think it was. But so that definitely hurt me a lot. But if we got a caution on that last 15 laps, I think I would have been in pretty good shape.
Well, Jaden, even with not coming away with the win here tonight, you are the regular season champion, and once we get things all dialed in and sorted out after drop weeks are all considered and things like that, I'm pretty sure you've got a pretty close chance at being in there for the championship as well. But regardless, you've had a phenomenal season, and to come away as strong as you have for the first inaugural season of the Team Goon Squad Cup Series, what's kind of been your thoughts of the season, and what do you look forward to heading into the winter season?
I think I'm just looking forward to more of the same, because it was an absolute blast this season. So I'd like to hopefully keep continuing on with that.
Absolutely. Well, I hope to keep seeing you out there on the track, Jaden. It's always a pleasure to see you out there and putting on a fantastic show each and every week. And we love to see the fan group out here rooting on the 81 each and every single week. But Jaden, last thing before you go and before you celebrate, anyone you want to give a shout out to or thank before you go tonight?
I'd like to thank you, Mason, and everyone at Team Goon Squad for putting on these races and the whole season as a whole. And I'd like to thank my mom and grandma and uncles back home for watching.
Well, Jaden, thank you once again for joining me up here in the booth. Congratulations on a second place finish and all of your other accolades that you've accomplished throughout this season. You've done absolutely incredible. I look forward to seeing you next season, and until then, good luck to you. And we'll see you back out on track here in not too much longer.
Yeah, thank you. Hope to see you there.
Absolutely. Have a good one, Jaden. Alrighty, folks. So that was Jaden Hopp, your regular season champion and potentially also playoff champion, but that is to be determined once things are all said and done here. But last, certainly not going to be least here, the man, the myth, the legend, Casey Carrington, the 38 machine, coming away with the win here today. Casey, you put on the clinic here today. You were untouchable once you got out ahead of the rest of the field. Talk to me a little bit about your success here. What's kind of the keys to success here at Darlington?
Well, I mean, Darlington really comes down to two things, tires and staying off the wall, and I knew I could stay off the wall, so having 20 lap pressure tires and then Jaden there for the majority of the race really helped. But yeah, it's like he said in his interview, one of those things where if we'd gotten a caution at any point, pretty much after the last one, then he would have had the advantage. I needed the race to play out pretty much exactly as it did, and worked out. I managed traffic well, kept it off the wall, like I said, and you know, building up that large gap. I think after the caution, that green flag run that we had till the pit stops, I built up maybe 11 seconds on him. And if you look at the results, I mean, he only finished behind me by like 4 seconds. So I had to bleed off 7 of that, just managing traffic, and I had to save fuel there too at the end, which I oversaved. I didn't have to save as much as I thought I did, but I had 2 laps to the good. But still, you know, it's always a lot easier when you got that safety net to work with of pretty much half a lap at that point.
Yeah, I mean, you seemed comfortable out there, and just kind of watching along on board with you there for a little bit. You seemed very comfortable out there. You had a great line, and like you said, you were keeping it off the wall, which a lot of drivers here weren't as successful in doing so, unfortunately. But you managed to come away with a fantastic win, Casey, and kind of looking forward into the winter season. Do you have any plans of attending the winter season, or what's kind of your plan here for the upcoming winter season?
Yeah, we'll see when has the schedule been released?
Not yet. That is going to be something I'm going to be working on here over the next few days.
Yeah, well, I'll have to wait to see what the schedule is as far as, you know, availability and stuff like that. But I'll definitely, at the very least, try to show up kind of like I did this season, run a few races here and there. I was a little apprehensive about running in the championship race since I didn't want to interfere with it, but it looks like Jaden's probably going to have that all together anyway. So I probably only took a couple points off the board for him. But yeah, I mean, it's a lot of fun. I appreciate being, you know, allowed to race here. It's so good to finally get a win on the Goon Squad Network. It took me like 3 years, but I finally managed it. I know, Mason, you've seen me choke away so many races that you broadcasted, so.
Yeah, Casey, you've definitely been on the screens more than once, fighting for some wins here, and it's definitely good to see you up here getting that W here tonight. But yeah, Casey, I mean, you know, even despite not, hopefully we'll be able to get to see you more often going into the winter season. But like you said, we'll wait and see once the schedule comes out. But Casey, I mean, I want to thank you for joining us up here in the championship race. I appreciate you not being too apprehensive and just committing to it and coming out here and having a great time, putting out a great race. But last thing before you crack open that nice cold one in the fridge, anyone you want to give a shout out to or thank before you go tonight?
Yeah, start out, thank everybody that puts the league on, everybody that shows up each and every week. You know, like I said, it's one of those things I kind of hate running part-time because I feel like I'm kind of, you know, showing up to a party uninvited, but I appreciate those guys for raising me clean and all that. Appreciate you and James and everybody, Team Goon Squad, for putting on not only the league, but the broadcast. You do a great job. You've improved so much with your broadcasting since you started. I mean, I think you're one of the probably top 10, top 12 broadcasters on iRacing, at least from what I've seen. So, not saying something because there's obviously, as you know, there's a lot of good broadcasters, but you did a great job. Like I said, everybody tonight did a great job. Tough track, like you said, but shout out to them and shout out to everybody that watched on the broadcast.
Yeah, thank you so much, Casey, for the kind words and for your impressive performance here tonight. I certainly look forward to hopefully getting to see that 38 machine back out on track here before too long. Casey, once again, thank you for joining us up here in the booth and joining us out on the track here today. It's always a pleasure, and I look forward to seeing you hopefully whenever it's decided that we start this back up again.
Yeah, I'll be waiting.
All right, Casey, thank you so much. You have a great night.
Yeah, you too.
Alrighty, folks, so that was Casey Carrington, your race winner out of the booth, coming away with that W here for the championship round at Darlington Raceway. That is going to wrap up our coverage here tonight for the Team Goon Squad Cup Series, for the inaugural season of the Team Goon Squad Cup Series. What an absolutely incredible first season of this. It's definitely had a few hiccups here and there, but I appreciate all of our drivers. I appreciate all of the fans who have been tuning in each and every single week to make these even feasible and make sense in the grand scheme of effort, time, and all of the above. So thank you all. You guys make these things possible, and you guys make these things. We make it. As I fail to find my words here, Again, you all make these things possible, and without you guys, we would not be here. So thank you all, and I hope to see you all for the winter season. It has not been announced when that's going to happen, but it will be within probably the next, I would say, at least month and a half at the very most. So keep your eyes peeled. We will be announcing that before too long. So if you're ready for some more action already, we will be having that very soon. And if you want to be a part of the action, if you want to get in on some of the racing here for the Cup Series, head on over to our website, teamgoonsquad.com. You can see it there at the bottom of your screen. And you can find our Discord information there. Join the Discord, and there will be all the information that you need in the Discord to sign up, get registered, and get yourself ready for the winter season. So, with that all out of the way here, folks, we don't have an official champion to announce here at the moment, but as I said, we will do our best to announce that through a social media outlet of some kind to let all of you folks at home know and have that information available to you. So, with that being said, folks, my name is Mason Heimbaugh with Team Goon Squad, bringing you all the action here tonight from Darlington for the championship round of the Team Goon Squad Cup Series. I want to thank you all once again for tuning in and watching. If you enjoyed what you saw, hit the like button. Don't forget to subscribe, catch all the action that we have here on Team Goon Squad throughout the week. And as always, we will see you all in the next one.
Oh, Pearson gets into the 95 of Bolts. Here comes the caution.
Flag is dropped here at Daytona, and away we go for the first time. Nicholas Morcel, Sean.
Looks like most get through unscathed. Look at that, there's Reed Gibson. A big move at the inside line of Dom's, possibly a little bit of contact.
Now, as we've got three wide action going through turns 1 and 2.
And they're underway. Eric Hahn takes a nice jump. Wilson hasn't let him go very far.
Nice to go out here for Circuit Spa Francorchamps. Alex Johnson's off to a brilliant start there.
See just how oddly shaped this one is. We saw in the background Eric Hahn go for a bit of a swing, and he's gone and he's over.
Smooth stuff. Cody Graham's the one-on-one up into second place. Alex Johnson 6/10 lead at the moment.
They're dicey up front. There's Andrew Kessel, Justin Sang.
They are ready to go. The lights are out, and away we go for the very first time here at Okayama International Circuit. Finley Fitzsimmons